everybody, this is Dr. Maren Bell Jones, and I'm going to do a video here from the AKC National Championships where my dog Fox is about to compete in the Veterans Division of Masters for North American diving dogs at the AKC National Championships. And so I often get this frequently asked by folks who have working or performance dogs about what stretches can we do before we go and we compete or we go and we train. So before every competition and training, what I do with my dog Fox, who's a 10.5-year-old Malinois, we always warm up first. And so the warm-ups are going to be, say, running somewhere between 300 to 400 yards, where we get the muscles warmed up before we try to do any kind of stretching, just like you would if you were stretching your own muscles. You don't want to stretch full muscles. So the 4 stretches I'm going to demonstrate here real quick is something everybody can do. This is called passive range of motion stretching. So we are doing it for the dog. Active range of motion stretches are a topic for another time. So the first one we're going to work on, we're going to have the dog laying on their side. So anytime you start to teach a dog how to do stretches, it's really, really helpful if you teach the dog not just how to sit and down, but also a rollover, like a lay on their side. Okay? So hopefully he won't get too distracted, even though he's about to compete here in a little bit. So before we started this, we ran him about 300 yards or so to get his muscles warm. So the first thing we're going to stretch is we're going to stretch this group in the shoulder. This is where the triceps are, and also the lats. And so anytime a dog is doing a lot of running or jumping, these are really important to do, stretching these muscles. So to demonstrate this, what we do is I have one hand on their shoulder, the point of their shoulder right up here, and the other hand is going to be behind their elbow. And so what we're going to do is we're going to cup behind the elbow, and we're going to keep in one straight line. We're going to move the limb into extension, okay? You want to keep it in one single plane. So again, the muscles that we're going to be stretching are going to be the triceps along here and the lats, okay? And I usually hold it for about 15 seconds or so. And then what I do is I flex everything back up, just to kind of get it all work back out. And then we might repeat that as well. So another 10 to 15 seconds. Okay. Next thing I do is I want to stretch. He usually has to sneeze if he rolls all the way over. Next thing we're going to stretch is we're going to stretch on the opposite side of the shoulder. So it's going to be like where the biceps muscle is, as well as these muscles in the neck, which is part of the whole brachiocephalicus complex. Okay. So what I do for this is I grab one hand on their wrist. This is their carpus or their wrist. And we'll have the other hand on the point of the shoulder again. So we're going to stretch in this direction. And again, we're going to keep everything in the same plane. You don't want to go too far out, especially if you don't know what you're doing, because it can be very uncomfortable for the dog, okay? Just, you want to imagine to yourself, if you were running with the dog, how would the muscles normally go in their normal position? Okay, so about 15 seconds or so. Okay, flex back up. And again, we're going to put him into extension back behind him. This is actually called flexing the shoulder, and when they extend the shoulder, it's out in front like so. So that's extension, that is flexion. Okay, so that is the front shoulder. While you're doing that stretch of the muscles in the neck and the biceps, you can also, if you like, rest. You can also do a little bit of light massage right in front of the shoulder as well to keep those muscles warm. Okay, now we'll move towards the back half. And what I typically do is I usually like to sit with my body kind of behind them so they can't spin around and swirl around and that sort of thing. So first thing we do is we're going to stretch the hamstrings, and then we're going to stretch the quadriceps. So to stretch the hamstrings, what we do, again, I use my legs kind of as a brace so they can't do too much motion and can't cheat with the stretch. And what I do is I have one hand kind of on their pelvis, on their hip, right up here. This is a nice stretch. If you have a second person to help you, it's nice, but you don't have to. But what we're basically doing is we're taking the hip and flexing the hip, so we're pointing the foot towards their head, okay? And these are the hamstring muscles right here. You can feel them get tight when you do this stretch. And this is a really nice stretch to do that a lot of people kind of neglect this stretch, and humans too, okay? People's hamstrings are tight, myself included. So you can do a little cross friction, and do that for about 10 to 15 seconds again. Flex them back up. And again, go back into this nice stretch of the hamstrings. Okay, so the next thing we're going to do is we're going to put him into hip extension. So we're going to have the whole leg go back out from behind us, and some dogs If they are more sensitive, if they have hip dysplasia or some other injury like an ellipsoas injury, which runs like here, putting them into extension can be uncomfortable. So be careful of this one, okay? So we're gonna put them into extension like so. One hand goes on the hock, which is like their ankle, and one hand goes on the knee, and you basically stretch them out back behind here. So this is the quadriceps that we're stretching for that. So that's the 4 stretches that you can do in under 4 minutes.